on today's show.
Are the Sixers down 3-2 because Embiid is sick, or are the Raptors finally playing to their full potential?
We debate the Nuggets' most unsung player and if the Blazers can force Game 7 versus Denver.
And in Crossfire, we address Westbrook and PG's multiple surgeries, as well as the draft lottery reps.
It's Wednesday, May 8th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniels, Old Number 7, and Tennessee Honey. I'm J.E. Skeets, alongside me as always, Tass Mellis. We got the Aussie, Lee Ellison over yonder. That's the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey-yo!
Hey-yo! Trey, what's up?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag the starters. And guys, earlier today, the league released their list of representatives for the draft lottery for all the teams going next Tuesday, trying to get that number one pick. Some heavy hitters are on the list. Former number one pick Patrick Ewing will represent the Knicks. Last year's number one, DeAndre Ayton, going for the Suns. And the legend Nick Gilbert has taken his lucky bow ties to the Cavs, where he's going to try and win his third draft lottery, which must be a record. But that brings us to today's question. Who are some replacement draft lottery representatives that you'd like to see? For instance, I'm actually offended that the Chicago Bulls didn't pick me. The lottery is in Chicago, and as we found out last year on the show, I'm a Chicago Bulls lottery magnet.
This will be the winner of the 2018 draft lottery.
Check
Okay,
that,
find
check
the
that.
card.
Oh my goodness!
What do you got?
You can't see it, but it says Chicago Bulls.
Wow!
You're just gonna have to trust that said Chicago Bulls. We're gonna get a bigger font this year. Nonetheless, we want to hear from you. So let us know on Twitter who are some replacement draft lottery representatives you'd like to see. Send them to us at hashtag the starters. We'll hear from you later.
All right, get your tweets in. On tonight's show, we're going to talk about the Nuggets Game 5 win. Tass and Trey are going to step into Crossfire. We got a very special, very solid play here from Blaze. Yeah, stick around for that. But let's start with some true or false, looking back at last night's Sixers-Raptors game. Trey.
For the third time in 4 games, Joel Embiid was under the weather heading into a playoff game. This time, it was an upper respiratory infection that slowed the big man, as Embiid had more turnovers, 8, than made shots, 5, in the blowout loss to the Raptors. Get my man some vitamin C and tell me true or false. The Sixers are down 3-2 because Embiid's been sick.
I think this is true, actually, and I wasn't buying his sickness until yesterday. I gotta be honest. I wasn't totally into this sickness. That it seemed like a convenient excuse. But yesterday you could definitely see it on his face, and I don't want to play face language doctor, but you look at the way those turnovers were happening out there, he did not seem like himself. And if I was to tell you the best player on a playoff team in the second round was to be sick 3 of 5 games, you would say, well, that's going to affect at least one of the outcomes. And probably not last night. The Raptors were going to smash this game, but in Game 4, the outcome was likely affected because of the sickness. I'm making excuses for the Sixers. He's out there, sure, but I think it's a viable excuse.
Yeah, but I think it's false because it is sort of impossible to say.
Of course.
I get what you're saying, and he looked miserable. He looked miserable when he was on the floor, when he was on the bench, and had the towel up in his face. But you go back to the Nets series, he didn't even play in one game, and the squad showed up, and the Sixers got a win, and that was the best we've seen of Ben Simmons in this playoff so far. And then Embiid in Game 2, when Embiid had the mud pies going on there, they still got that win with a very bad Embiid game too. Other guys stepping up for the Sixers. So it's not like this team, like, what's Ben Simmons' excuse, I guess is what I'm getting at here. Joel Embiid, he's sick, whether you buy it or not, and a lot of people do. What's going on with the other guys, especially your other all-star in Ben Simmons, who is out there, I think, because I can't find him half the time. He's having no impact on these games whatsoever.
Certainly compared to the first round, he's not having any impact at all. And clearly the lack of ability to shoot the ball is affecting him, because if he's not going inside and scoring, he doesn't have another option to fall back on. But I think really the Raptors deserve so much credit for this, because after Game 3, I know 2 people sitting at this table who were particularly worried about this series going down the drain very quickly. And the Raptors actually, rather than be embarrassed, or they probably were embarrassed and humiliated, showed some resilience, got that Game 4 win, and then you could see the confidence last night in Game 5, not just with Kawhi, who's been outstanding in this series. Pascal came back.
Yep.
You saw Kyle Lowry playing well again. Danny Green hit some threes. And I think, talking about infections, I think the Raptors had something that was contagious last night, just playing well together and actually realising those games they lost 2 and 3, bad losses, they had to get those out of the system and then sort of flex their muscles a little bit in Game 5, which they did last night, because the season, again, was on the line last night. You go down 3-2, having to win 2 more games, particularly one on the road, it's very tough. So I think the Embiid sickness had an impact for sure. But overall, I think the Raptors just played better, and this was sort of begun really after that Game 3 humiliation.
Yeah, the momentum turned after Game 4, and that's why the Raptors are definitely in the driver's chair. You mentioned Ben Simmons. He hasn't adapted to playing in the dunker spot. He's playing down in the Birdman spot on the baseline. He's not the ball handler anymore. No. He's just hanging out while Jimmy Butler is handling the ball. And in transition, where Ben Simmons should be thriving, he's turning the ball over. He's just not right. And yes, he should be the one stepping up.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
And not that any Sixers really had a great game last night. Butler got his points, a lot of them he forced to get to the line and made it happen, but no one really stepped up outside of your Embiid, your big guy that was sick. It is weird though. He's now had basically 3 different illnesses in this series. This is just bad timing. Then he's got the knee on top of that, which he's missed time before.
Yeah.
But even when he was playing with, again, I go back to 2 and 4, he's sick, we're told, didn't sleep, got an illness, he still had a positive impact. And then this was the first game he didn't at all.
Well, he's that good that he has a positive impact even when he's not well on the defensive end, and the fact that he's just a magnet on the offensive end. Everybody's paying attention to him. And Marc Gasol stepped up big time yesterday. He started playing D without reaching. And that was his best defensive game, I think, on Joel Embiid.
Trey, our next one.
For the first time this series, Kawhi Leonard scored fewer than 30 points and wasn't the Raptors' leading scorer, going for a simple 21 points and 13 rebounds in the win. 5 more Raps went for double figures, though, as Pascal Siakam's 25 led the way for Toronto. Guys, true or false? The Raptors finally played their potential.
Yeah, I think this is true.
Yeah.
And you were going through all the guys that contributed in Game 5. William Liu at Yahoo Sports in Canada put it best. In Games 1 and 4 that the Raptors won, they won those games because they had the best player in the series in those particular games in Kawhi Leonard. Game 5 they won because they were the better team. And they looked more like the team that we saw throughout the regular season. Raptors won a lot of games when Kawhi Leonard was out for load management. And because you had Siakam stepping up throughout the year and into the playoffs, and Kyle Lowry looking aggressive right from the jump, he had 19 points. Gasol and Ibaka, they're going bigger. It's working with Nick Nurse. Danny Green hitting threes, and then it got contagious. They hit 16 threes. Yeah. So that's true. This is the Raptors that we've been watching the last couple years, especially this last year, that you're like, yeah, this is a really good team. I know a lot of people down here in the States maybe aren't watching them a whole lot, but they're a threat. They're a threat to go very far. Best performance by far of the playoffs.
Game 3 and even Game 4 to some degree, you wondered who was going to score for the Raptors.
Yeah.
Every basket outside of Kawhi felt like it was such a struggle, and that it was almost lucky that some of those shots went in. I mean, Serge hit a couple of baskets, but last night, when Danny Green's hitting shots, you just feel that when the Raptors are in transition, a lot of guys are an option to score.
Yep.
And Kawhi still had a great game, but by his standards in this series, pretty quiet, relatively speaking. So I just think for the Raptors, they realised if everyone else contributes, it makes the whole game so much easier because they blew the Sixers out. This wasn't a game where it was like getting into that last quarter, they need to execute properly. They put their foot on the gas, and it just opened up everything for the Raptors. Their defense was a lot more focused. And Philadelphia, they sort of tried to fight at the start of that third quarter, but then the Raptors answered pretty quickly and put the game out of reach.
It was a special night for the Raptors, and a big part of it is they got their second best player back. Pascal Siakam felt better after that calf contusion where he was not himself in Game 4. Then you got a prototypical Kyle Lowry game out there. Kyle Lowry was awesome. He was doing everything. Even if he didn't score a ton, he was doing everything out there. Pascal, again, looking like himself. Gasol guarding without reaching on Joel Embiid. Everybody hitting threes. They have a bench again. So this feels like a team that can go up against the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, I'm already looking for it.
Don't do that.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Don't do
that. That bench, I mean, that has to show up, though, not just in these good wins. They have to show up when things aren't going well for the Raptors, and it's a bit of a tighter game because we haven't seen it so far. When the pressure's off a little bit, then guys feel a bit more comfortable. But that bench, if that doesn't show up in Game 6, this one could easily be.
And even offensively, I wouldn't say the Raptors bench lit it up here in Game 5, but they were locked in defensively.
Yeah.
Van Vliet better on that end. Norm sending doubles, sort of unorthodox doubles at Embiid and forcing some of those turnovers. They were just more engaged for sure.
Yeah.
Trey, our final one.
A 3-2 series lead may seem like a death sentence, but not only have teams come back to force a Game 7, sometimes they even win the whole series. And when you consider Game 6 is in Philadelphia, maybe, just maybe, you can talk yourself into this thing extending, guys. True or false? Raptors Sixers is going to Game 7, baby!
Ooh, I don't know.
All right, you guys, come on. What do you think?
Go ahead. I mean, you say the Raps are going to win the series.
It's going 7.
You think so?
I think
but the big question mark, it's Joel Embiid.
Right.
What are we going to find out tomorrow? What's going to be the problem? Or is there not going to be one? And he's going to go for 33 and pulling out every showboat move you can think of in celebration. Like, we don't know.
No, of course not.
We don't even know. Maybe it'll be his knee.
healthiness does affect.
I mean, it affects, but you know, it's going to help their chances, no doubt.
Yeah, they could definitely pull one out at home, but I think they know this baby is over. I think they know that they gave away the series really at the end of Game 4 there, and that's why you saw a pretty bad effort in Game 5. So it's possible that they could pull one out in Game 6, but they know if they come back to Toronto on Sunday that they're losing, so it's probably over.
My goodness. You are rolling the dice right now.
I think they can win 2 in a row.
I do think apart with the Sixers, they need, like, early in this series, we were talking a lot about, like, wow, Greg Monroe's giving them a lot. James Ennis is giving them a lot. Then Mike Scott came back and he's giving them, you know, pouring in some threes and stuff like that. If they need these role players to really, really step up here. Butler's going to be fine. Embiid's the massive question mark. And it'd be, you know, helpful if Tobias and Redick get free. But I think this is more likely to go to Game 7. I do. I think in a very, very close Game 6 that maybe they pull it out.
You know, I mean, it would mean the Raptors have won 3 in a row, too, if they win Game 6.
Difficult to do.
Which is very tough in the playoffs in a tough series like this. So I think we're coming home for Game 7.
Baby.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear from you guys. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters. We're going to Game 7 between the Sixers and Raptors, that one on Thursday night. When we come back, we're going to talk about who is Denver's unsung hero. We know Jokic is the man, but who's that second unsung hero? Come on back.
The Starters is presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey.
Time to check the polls again, the segment where we ask you, the Starters fan, to vote on some of the day's biggest NBA questions. So, Trey, let's do it.
It was a night of blowouts, as last night's Western Conference game went almost exactly the same as the Eastern Conference game. Out in Denver, the Nuggets destroyed the Blazers thanks to monster games from Nikola Jokic and Paul Millsap. So we asked the fans how this thing ends, with the Nuggets winning in 6 or 7, or the Blazers coming back to win a Game 7. Guys, 41% taking the Nuggets in 7, another 32% taking the Blazers in 7. What do you guys think?
I think that's fairly accurate. I think now that the Nuggets are in the box seat there, the Blazers, when they won, were up 2-1, remember, after that huge game, that Friday night quadruple overtime game, that was this point I thought the series is going to tilt towards Portland's favour here, because for Denver to back up again and maybe face another, go down 3-1, I thought that would be it. But instead they fought back and showed incredible resilience and just taking control. Really odd, you see last night's game and you think at some point this is going to catch up with the Nuggets, just going this far in without the experience, and they blew the Blazers off the court, which was incredible. So I think Portland's still got one more in them. Dame, I'm not going to write Dame off ever again.
There's a little magic there still in that backcourt.
But I think going back to Denver, I think the Nuggets have shown so far they've got great balance, they've got great depth. I think they're probably going to take this series in 7.
They definitely are in command, but I doubt the Blazers are going to give up 2 in a row at home. They let that Game 4 slip, so I think they go and get Game 6. I wonder, with Coach Terry Stott's move that he pulled off in Game 5, where Enes Kanter, was not on doing a great job on Nikola Jokic, so they switched it up and they said, let's put you on Paul Millsap, and Millsap just drove him crazy. And you combine that with the fact that they lost Game 4, they gave Game 4 away. Do they think in that locker room, I don't know, we're trying to pull at straws here. Maybe we don't have this series. I do think the Nuggets are in command. They either win in Game 6 or Game 7.
Do you think Stotts goes away from that? Because, they put Aminu on Jokic, and that didn't go well. And Jokic is just too big.
But Aminu was on Millsap as well, and Millsap...
I know, and that's why I think they made this change. But then Millsap, that was an unbelievable first half. Jamal Murray, caught fire there in the second, and then Jokic sort of closed it out. I mean, this was a great win. I think Nuggets in 7 does still make the most sense. I still believe in the Blazers. Not going to roll over and die. A well-coached team in Stotts. And they just missed a lot of shots, too. A lot of shots in last night's game. So some of those I think are going to drop in Portland, and hopefully we do get a Game 7, where then the Nuggets sort of have to be favored. They're the best home team in the NBA all season long, and have been pretty solid there so far in the playoffs. Trey, next one.
Nikola Jokic was great last night, going for 25, 19, and 6 in the win, but it wasn't just him. Gary Harris played his usual sterling defense on Damian Lillard. Paul Millsap used his strong, powerful booty to score 24 points, and Jamal Murray put up 18 and 9 in the victory. So we asked the people who the Nuggets' unsung hero was, and guys, 55% went with post-up Paul Millsap. He got my vote. What about y'all?
Yeah, you can make a case for all these guys, but Millsap makes sense to you?
Definitely. He used to be called the anchor man when he played here in Atlanta, because he is exactly that. He's just that steady force. And you said earlier, Skeets, Jamal Murray had a scoreless first quarter. They needed him out there. But who do they turn to in the first quarter when Jamal Murray's not playing well? Well, the anchor man, Paul Millsap, had a great first quarter, 12 points. You know, just to calm everybody down, you're talking about the experience, Lee. This guy is the experience. So, yeah, offensively, he does it. He's averaging 19 points per game in this series, and defensively as well. But all three of these guys, you can definitely...
Yeah, the thing is, I'm actually surprised he's got 55% of the vote because so many people tend to just ignore his contributions.
Yeah.
And we've seen this actually at other times in the playoffs. When the Nuggets need a couple of baskets in that first quarter, he's often the one who gets them, but they never highlight real plays. They're like mid-range jump shots or layups, but baskets that still count, but they don't stand out like what we've seen from Jamal Murray. But Gary Harris's defense has been incredible this series. And I mean, you know, for Mike Malone to
specifically on Damian Lillard.
you know, he's been mixing it up a little bit there with Torrey Craig, but Gary Harris, you know, they're just getting into Dame's space. They're young guys, they're athletic, they're long, and they're just causing him a lot of problems. And that's a big reason as well why the Blazers are down 3-2 is because Lillard hasn't been able to really unload on them and give them a big scoring night because he's got so much defensive pressure on him.
He was good in the first half, and then Gary Harris just wore him down.
Yeah.
And he ended up being 0 from three-point land in the second half and 2 for 9.
Yeah, I will go with Jamal, though, here. I mean, he's averaging 25 points per game in this series. And we talked about it time and time again with the Nuggets. He's sort of like their bellwether. He's that X factor. If he's got it going, you got a good chance of winning the game if you're the Nuggets. And he blew the game open. Millsap, you're right, Tass. Awesome in the first quarter. But it was Murray when he was showboating and just, you know, had all the sauce in the world going. He was licking it off his fingers in that second quarter. It was like that 16-6 run, and then it was sort of over. I mean, because he was either scoring all those baskets during that run or setting up guys, and he finished with 9 assists. But
where's he from?
He's from Kitchener.
Oh, is he good?
519's finest, that's right. He's
okay,
the least Canadian of all time because he's cool and he's got swag. He's unlike us, is what you're saying. Yeah. No, all 3 votes are great for all these guys, so let's hear from you if you haven't voted already. When we come back, Tass and Trey step into the crossfire. It's Canada versus America. We debate which OKC surgery, Westbrook or PG, is more concerning for the franchise. Ricky, wake up, it's crossfire time. All right, here's how this works. The champion, Tass, is going to take on the challenger, Trey Kirby, in 3 rounds of head-to-head questions. At the end of it all, I'll declare a winner, crossfire belt on the line. Guys, first one, the 2019 NBA Draft Lottery is on Tuesday in Chicago. It's a 30-minute telecast that can sometimes be a bit of a bore, to be honest, so let's spice it up. I want to hear your best addition to the Draft Lottery night. Here we go.
You want to get people interested in this event? Get the free agents from this summer to sit at the podiums of the teams they're rumored to be going to. Klay Thompson, go sit at that Lakers table. Kyrie, get at that Knicks desk, but you got to scooch over. Got to make room for a little Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And people will say, oh, they're in the playoffs. Well, just do this draft lottery a little later, after the playoffs, and it doesn't mean they're going there. It's just a joke.
What an idea.
Enough with these boring lottery balls that we don't even get to see. Let's take the one exciting thing of the night and actually make it exciting. Take a page out of our book and come up with a new way to pick the lottery winner every single year. Who wouldn't want to see Adam Silver bobbing for apples or Money Mark Tatum inside of a win machine? I'm going to be honest with you, it's tough to come up with a new idea every single year.
Creative.
But we've got 6 great ones you can steal.
All right, I like it. Good start, guys. Thunder All-Stars Russell Westbrook and Paul George underwent surgery on Tuesday. They got more surgery to come. Westbrook did work on his finger. He's going to have a procedure on his knee. Paul George doing work on both of his shoulders. So I want to know, what's the more concerning OKC injury? Here we go.
You know, Russell Westbrook having surgery on his finger, not too worried about it. I got a weird finger and it looks all right. I am, however, super worried about him having another knee surgery. They're calling it proactive maintenance, which just means we're cutting into your knee now because we're going to have to do it a little bit later anyways, and that is scary to me. It's his 5th knee surgery on his right knee, which is not great. Russ is going to be 31 early next season. He lost a little after his knee surgery last year, and he's still got 2 years left on a giant contract. A little bit scary.
I think it's Paul George because his MVP caliber year was effectively wasted because they didn't beat the Blazers with that shoulder. And that was with, I think, the best Russell Westbrook that we'll see going into the future. I think we've seen the best of Russell Westbrook. They're capped out the next 2 seasons. Not good, Bob.
Right. Not good, Bob. Good stuff. All right, final round, guys. Final round. We had some very funny moments in the NBA last night. Drake dropped the airplane on Joel Embiid. Juancho was doing a little shimmy in the corner after hitting a 3. Paul Pierce may have farted on Michelle Beadle. We're not sure. TMZ said so. But I want to know, what was the funniest moment from that night? Here we go.
Mine is more ha than ha. But Joel Embiid, you know, he pulled out the airplane after dropping the windmill in game number 3. And then so the Raptors, when he was being checked out of this game, did it right back to him. The entire fan base did it. Very, very funny. More vengeful than hilarious, but so good.
Not bad.
Look, I'm a sucker for anything Juancho Hernan Gomez, so you know I love seeing him and Mason Plumlee run a two-man game that somehow ends with a 3 in the corner for Juancho right in front of the Denver bench, where he shimmies like crazy with Jokic, Harris, and all of his buddies. He's so happy. I was so happy. Skeet, who can deny it? Shimmy,
Let's shimmy, baby. We got a winner right here because he's shimmying his face off. Trey Kirby,
I had 2 more seconds.
The time's not even expired. The guy's shimmying to a win. My goodness, look at the man shimmy.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we'll shimmy into the D block here. Lely with a very solid play. You're not going to want to miss this one, kids.
I don't mind losing to that.
Bucks guard Malcolm Brogdon is back for Game 5 against the Celtics tonight, completing his recovery from a foot injury. Been sidelined since March 15th. Coach Bud says he's going to come off the bench. He will be on a minutes restriction, but Mirotic will start still. So that's the first game, Celtics-Bucks on TNT. Milwaukee trying to close this one out. And then we got the pivotal Game 5 between the Rockets and Warriors in the second game of that doubleheader. Can't wait. All right, we asked you. Draft lottery replacements. Got any good ideas? Hit us up on Twitter, #starters. Trey, what do we got?
Some great suggestions. Nikita says Drake for the Raptors, which is crazy. The Raptors don't have a chance in the lottery. Besides, if they did, they'd send this guy anyways.
Yeah.
We got the #1 pick. Also great. Emil saying, I want Bongo Lady to represent
That's
the Grizzlies.
good.
It'll be
Smart.
very cool to see her sitting at the podium doing exactly that. Also a great suggestion, the Lakers guy. But the best possible suggestion, no doubt, Ben Chief.
Oh, wow.
Master Chief should represent the Celtics on draft night. Bring his hat, why not?
Lottery balls under that hat.
Oh, the lucky leprechaun himself.
Lily, very solid play.
Yeah, now, since I've been doing the very solid play, millions and millions of people have said, why don't you do a defensive one ever? Well, here is one for you. Look at Pascal Siakam's defense there on Jimmy Butler. That is just perfect defense. Moving those feet, not biting on the pump fake party that Jimmy's inviting him to there.
Yeah.
And look at that, forces him into a tough shot.
Didn't respond to the email.
No, that is brilliant. That's what I call a very solid defensive play.
Wow. Very
I
rare.
make a habit of it.
Very, very rare. All right, guys, got some news here. Tanya Ganguly saying that the Lakers have decided to move on from Ty Lue as their next head coach. It looked like it was going to be a done deal. Looked like Lue was going to the Lakers. You know, Monty Williams had picked the Suns, but no. So who now will be the head coach? My guess is Lee Ellis.
Oh, yeah, I'm available. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Knicks won't like that.
Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
How am I not the Knicks representative at the draft lottery?
Good.
I don't know. I guess they know you're not a lucky guy.
I'm available if you need me. Anyway.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, when you're sad in your body, just do a little shimmy, shimmy, yam. You'll be happy again.
Look straight at that beard.
Oh, yeah.
Embrace the night, people.